So this is the swale where there had been, some years ago, there was a willow tree here. And this is really the natural swale. This is the natural stream line here. And it's not bearing very much because the overburden is largely being diverted over here, which is just, I don't know, it is what it is, but here it is. Now there's also a good deal of water that flows down from here, and there's you can see it through the trees there. There's a new house up there, at least one. I think actually there are two new houses up there, and they're going to be contributing to some drainage runoff. But here you see roughly, again, you know, the natural swale is insisting, or natural gully, you know, the low point, it's just insisting on its existence. Here it is, you know, and they try all kinds of stuff to block it, but here it is. So, you know, naturally, it would flow down that way. But it's being diverted. Look at our beautiful cattails, and they're just so nice. These dawn redwoods are going to create a whole interesting thing as they mature. There's another one down there. It's already quite large, and it's only been here for like 5 years maybe. And these guys get to be very substantial. Not sure what this is all about. It's hard to believe that this is from the tree removal the other day, but maybe it is that wipeout there. They certainly were over there. And here's our forlorn garden. It'll seem less forlorn when those start flowering. And these are out of control. Look at these guys. These are goldenrods. Look at them. They're magnificent. And unhappily, or whatever, it is what it is, as they say. These evening primrose have been battered with all kinds of different things this year, including our spectacular herd of Japanese beetle. And this is potatoes. They really need to be dug out. and also weeded. Daylilies. Peach tree. It's an interesting, I think that's what it is anyway. Some kind of fruit tree. And our pawpaws. Some of these are doing quite well. One got completely wiped out by the heat. They were all very, very troubled by the sun, and they're also these two in the front, particularly, are very root bound. This poor tree has been bashed and battered, and so many things happen to it, and keeps going. Redbud, crepe myrtles here, getting to be decent size. There was an ailanthus here that was enormous, and partly fell and then was cut out. We've got some nice Japanese maples going here. But here's the this dawn redwood, and it's already really defining the area under, and I don't know what's going to become of this poor pussy willow that's also been very much appreciated by the Japanese beetles. I guess that's who we've got here. Yeah. I wouldn't have thought that they would enjoy willow as much as they seem to. Here again, another big tree that had to be removed. And kind of surprised it didn't take this paulownia. And obviously there's a good deal of cleanup still to happen. But, you know, here's an ash, here's an ash, here's an ash, there's an ash, everywhere's a frickin' ash. That's all they planted here, it seems, sometimes. But look at our great little, you know, it's not quite a clear cut, but it's sure a big change. Oh, this is where they stacked the logs. They had a big stack of the largest trunks. That's why that bark and that's sort of like almost like a board lying there. But see here again, natural gully runs across there. It's hard to deny it, you know. This is a diversion. This swale is a diversion of the natural flow, which would actually be over there. And this is one of the strangest arrangements of macadam on a private place that I've ever seen. And the net and very nearly the gross effect of the thing is that all the water is channeled into a very narrow current which is here, and then it goes down onto the neighbor's place instead of discharging into the stream, which is what it would have done naturally up there. So all this water naturally would be discharging down there, except for a little bit that's from the slope. But basically, it would all be in the stream. But here, we're channeling it towards our neighbor's house, and have been for as long as I've been here. You know, and you look at these kinds of things. Now, this is like internal of this property, but if this were a public access roadway, say, and we had this kind of a situation of the water channeling, you know, there's a deep channel there. I'm standing in a channel right here, which does seem to have some vegetation in it, but in the past, this has sometimes been eroded just by an event like this, just a single, you know, like 2-hour gully washer. And just look at this stuff coming out here. And, you know, we live with it. This is what we got. But I know that the neighbor isn't real thrilled, you know, to have his lawn gullified every time. And, you know, the thing that's disappointing about it is, if you look at the natural landscape, he really should not be receiving this quantity of water. There should be some water flowing down here, and you can see that this is a kind of a natural gully, but it's carrying much more water than it did before this swale arrangement was constructed, whenever that was. I think it might have been as much as 40 years ago that they did that. Okay, so if we just kind of conservatively say 40 years ago rather than 50, okay, we're back to about the time when there was the Superfund Conestoga Mill Creek project. You know, that was in its early stages. I would say, you know, we're going back to about the point that I can remember seeing, like, just the Conestoga was like a dead stream. Okay, but here, like this water along here, this is kind of what you would expect, and this stream should probably actually be carrying a good deal more water. Like, most of this should actually be over here. Naturally it would be. And it wouldn't necessarily be eroding this all that much more or differently. It might be moving a little bit back and forth, but there would be, I think naturally it would kind of tend to be sort of slower in its erosion, even though it would be carrying more water. But also, a lot of this water would be absorbed, you know, if there were trees and things that are now impervious surface. So that's our big complaint about that sort of thing. And here again, you can see that this goes down onto the road. Now imagine, as it does happen, that this comes down here in March and it freezes overnight. And that's ice. All across the road, all down the road. Now we've got two neighbors involved, because that's down to Mike's place. So this water that's coming down here, which naturally would be flowing through this stream and out through this culvert, which can definitely carry more water than it is. You know, this has been a big storm, and this has not reached its capacity. Okay, so it could carry that water over there through here, but it's being diverted by the construction that happens to be on the property, which is 169 address. And I think that basically it's a carryover from the previous owner, who I understand also was an old farmer who, at one point, at any rate, farmed one of the properties that's up here, one of the farms, and in fact, this whole area between Slackwater Road and Long Lane was their farm. This is the story. I don't know. I haven't gone to the Register of Deeds, to look into that. Wow. Look at this. This is ragweed, which I will remove, but it's magnificent. I mean, it's growing really beautifully. It's just, I'm terribly bothered by ragweed pollen. So that's all going away. We have our kind of practical limits to our love of all things. So here again, it's kind of interesting. They leave the wood, and here's some stone. Periodically I come along here and I collect stone. You may have seen the videos of me collecting stone here. And my main reason for doing that is to have building material. There's another tree. I think that those were ashes. Those were both ashes. It makes perfect sense that they would cut them. They're dead. Basically all the ash trees in this neighborhood are dead. I was going to say maybe this is a hackberry right here, but this one I think is an ash. These two that are dead there, those are ashes. It's amazing. I mean, there's so many trees all dying at once. It's scary, actually. It's freaky. Doesn't look like too many humans have been going down this path, but there's the top of the pawpaw patch. You can see a lot of them are just little nubbies on the ground. Yep. Yeah, river's up. Don't you love when you get that squeak? I don't know about you, but for some reason that always makes me think of the beach. And that always seems to be where that's either that or like going canoeing or tubing or something like that. It's some kind of aquatic water thing. An aquatic water thing as opposed to some other kind of water thing. Oh, there's some more of that ash tree from up there, but it's over there. Okay. All right. These are nice. I wonder whether that's mugwort growing sort of halfway up, and then some, I don't know what that stuff is, horse tail grass, or it's meadow something, and the great mullein, Verbascum thapsus, there at the kind of upper level. But I think lower than that, it gets zapped with the defoliant that they spray, some form of Roundup. And along here they hit with a mower. You can kind of see where the mower goes. A little bit of phlox. Some years we've had a lot of phlox. This year I hardly saw any. Yeah, I think there would have to be a really, really substantial rain event, multiple days, and like a big scale hurricane, I think, to overburden that culvert. So why is this water coming down on the road? It's because the folks who lived in 169 didn't want the water coming right by their house. So they shifted it, and they shifted it the only way they could on their own property, because I think if they had diverted it that way up here, they would have had to cross over onto the neighbor's property. And so I think they channeled it this way. But I'm kind of surprised that they didn't put a culvert up here, which I'll talk a little bit more about that as we come up here, or as I come up here, but you get to virtually come along. Now look at these things. These are enormous. These were planted by the current, actually since I lived here, these plants were planted here. Look at the water coming down on the side of the trunk there. These were planted here, I think, about 12 years ago. Which doesn't mean that they're 12 years old. I don't know how old they were when they were when they were planted. They might have been that old again, you know, so they might be 24 years old. But wow, you know, if that's a 24-year-old tree, just think what it's going to be as it gets older. You know, these sycamores are big, big trees, and these are not full grown, but they're going to be overshadowed by those dawn redwoods. So anyway, okay, here you can really hear the rushing of the water. That's because there's stones here. It's flowing over stones in part. But you see how it's being diverted down from the road. Okay? And if you look across there, there's nothing, there's basically no way that anything can flow down from there into here because there's a bank. Okay, and there's the slope over there. So all of this water flowing through there is coming from this stream and the diversion of this stream that's up here. So you know, this isn't bringing in any substantial water down. This is all from up here. My point is that from the road up to here, all the water that's flowing on the road, or anyway, from here down to the confluence with the other lane, all of the water that's flowing down here, for all intents and purposes, is from 169 property, and most of it is really from above these houses. So, all right, so you don't want it flowing down naturally as it would right next to the houses, because it would be right next to the house. Okay, which at falling waters it doesn't bother them, but here I guess that would be a problem. But here you see, here, there's a natural gully. There's the house. The house is upstream, uphill, up this. If a culvert were made here so that the water from this swale went underneath the road, underneath the lane, coming out on this side and flowing down, there would be none on the lane. This would mean in that icy weather in March that you did not have melt water and flow water from rain going down the lane and covering the surface of the lane with slush and ice. Instead, it would be flowing this way, down to the stream. It would not flow out onto Slackwater Road. It would not go onto the neighbors' properties, plural. It is a somewhat expensive fix, but if the neighbors are concerned about it, which occasionally they do seem to express their concern, then they might be persuaded to contribute to the project to run a culvert underneath the lane.